what do we have to look out for when we buy food on the food labels? Because you caution parents to watch what you buy very carefully. Now, what is it that we should look out for?
I always recommend to read the labels. And eventually the parents and anybody learns what to look out for and what not to. Definitely sugar. There's always, the labels on products will always be labeled in the order of the amount of ingredients there is. So if sugar is like the number one on the label, then you know there's loads of sugar. And also that sugar does have different names. I mean, the producers know that sugar sells because it tastes nice and sweet. So they put in different names so that it doesn't come like the number first thing. So it might be like number 4 or 5, but it could be various names instead. So to look out for the sugar, and then to look out for the amount of carbs and sugar per 100 grams. And I always recommend that everything under 5 grams is great. Yes. And just to have something to compare to, Coca-Cola is 10 grams, 10.4 I think grams of sugar per 100 grams, and juice is more.
Blimey.
Which, yeah, so just to have a reference and just to realize that keep an eye on how much carbs there are in the products. That is like the main thing on the label. And then also E621. Do we use E numbers here?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
They're
So,
everywhere.
yes, so E621, all the 620s, they are the glutamate. And we really don't want that.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially not for children with growing brains. Don't want them having that. So that's my 2 huge things to check for is the amount of carbs and E621.
Okay. Wonderful. And then if our kids don't want to eat, I mean, we don't want to give them sugar every day. You were mentioning in Sweden there's a sugar Saturday.
Yes.
And we tend to reward kids with
Right.
desserts if they don't want to eat their food. And we
Yes.
know we shouldn't bribe and we know we shouldn't blackmail, but what do we do then to get kids to eat their food?
I really, really totally agree not to bribe. I mean, never. It's like mixing apples and bananas. It's, you know, keep them separate. To eat food is to eat food. A dessert is a dessert. Don't put the two together that if you eat, you get dessert.
Okay.
And I think to get away from the whole idea of eating up, because I know I grew up and it was eat up your food, eat up your
Finish
food,
your plate.
finish your plate, it must be empty.
Yeah.
And that was like, I still have difficulty today not to eat up my food. And I've been very overweight before as well, so I know the whole process of the eating problems. And a lot of it starts with having to eat up. So I think respect children. I mean, totally respect them. A child will never starve. As long as there is food provided, a child will never choose to starve. So as long as your child is getting meals, you don't have to worry if they don't eat up. It's okay not to eat up. And just don't give all the side things in between. So avoid like the small snacking of things and all the in-between eating. So just rather stick to the meals and maybe 1 snack a day, but a healthy snack. And just respect. If they don't want to eat, don't force them to eat. Rather just let them decide themselves and have that respect for the child. I think it's really, really important. And it works. Once you start respecting their choices, the problems will disappear.
Right. Fantastic. And so is there ever a good time to give a sweet? We just had Easter.
I know. And if there's any kind of sweet I would say to give, I would go for chocolate. Rather chocolate than the sugary, colorful sweets with chemicals and colorants and additives. And no, rather just, and I mean, if you can get them to eat dark chocolate, if that's what you instead start with, I mean, it's perfect.
Oh, that's
I
good
mean,
news for my family.
Yeah. so my kids, they eat the 70% cocoa chocolate, which I think is very sweet.
Yeah.
But it's much better than the normal chocolate. But still rather chocolate than the candy sweets.
Right.
Yes. And not for bribery. And I think it's just to stick to, I mean, children learn quickly if they just nag and eventually get a yes.
Yeah.
They will carry on nagging because they know the yes will come. And I think it's just very important just to say no sweets. And that's it. And no matter how much they nag, just stick to the answer. Because they will learn very quick and they'll stop nagging about it. And I really do recommend the Saturday sweets or the Saturday candy day or whatever you want to call it. But it works really well. And then they know, oh, Saturdays we can go and get a bit of sweets and that's it.
Yeah.
And then you also skip the nagging the rest of the week.
You don't have to negotiate.
No, no. And I mean, it's difficult
clear.
because, I mean, the shops, it's just full of sweets when you're at the till.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them have like, you just walk down the whole aisle of sweets.
Yeah.
So I can imagine it's very difficult for many parents, and especially if it's difficult to put the boundary
Yeah.
to no sweets.
Yeah. Some retailers here are now changing to remove the sweets from the aisles.
Oh, good.
Yeah.